are Two Book Ramblers,
a podcast to get you to read beyond the lines.
Like Elvis said, the sun's down and the moon's pretty. It's time to ramble
About books. Today in Two Book Ramblers, Under 30. Books written within a month.
When we think about completing a book, we think a year or probably more, but we can all agree that books take, on average, a decent amount of time to be completed. However, there are some books with a lot of merit that have been completed in 30 days or less. And to prove it, we have a list here. Let's start in descending order.
Well, the first book that we have was completed in 1 month. It was The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. It was written by Muriel Spark. And basically, she was given an assignment to write about her summer holiday, but she actually preferred to write about her teacher's summer holiday. And as a result, now we have a book with a refreshing story about a teacher who selects a group of students to mold them to her image.
If you're looking for something light and refreshing, this is a very good book for you.
And if you like movies, there's a movie adaptation from 1969 that you can check out.
The second book we want to tell you about is The Gambler by Fyodor Dostoevsky. He wrote the book in just 26 days, which is in itself impressive, but it's even more so when you think that he wrote it at the same time that he was writing Crime and Punishment. This is a semi-autobiographical novella. He wrote it while he was in gambling debt himself, and he used the money to help him get out of it.
There's a cool poster on eBay with characters from Russian literature.
And maybe you can bid on it if you're a fan of Russian literature and you're thinking about decorating your game room.
The third book is The Tortoise and the Hare by Elizabeth Jenkins. It was written in 3 weeks. She wrote this book while she was romantically involved with a married man. I know, scandalous. The book itself relates the story of a married man with a perfect life and a perfect wife, but he's actually paying too much attention to his not so perfect looking neighbor.
Which goes to show that the tortoise sometimes wins the race. Another book that was completed in just 3 weeks, On the Road by Jack Kerouac. There is some discrepancy regarding the actual amount of time it took him to complete it, because some people claim that he was driving extensively throughout America during an extensive period of time, and he was collecting notes all throughout. And the seed of the book might have been planted during that time. However, the agreement seemed to be that he completed the typing of the book in just 3 weeks, and to do so without interruptions, he taped a lot of pages into a big scroll that he put in his typewriter to avoid having to get up and change the page.
If you have 100 hours to spare, there's a road trip that you can take from New York to San Francisco that was inspired by the book.
It might take you 5,529 miles to get there, but once you get to San Francisco, you can take a drink inspired by Kerouac at Bar Vesuvio, which he used to frequent. You can find the infographic on our page, as well as links to everything else covered in the episode. And if you think 3 weeks is impressive, and it is, what do you think about 9 days? Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury was completed in just 9 days. It started as a short story called The Fireman, and when Bradbury's publisher saw the story, he asked him to double it in size, and in just 9 days, he came up with Fahrenheit 451. We have chosen this book for our cover gallery because the 60th anniversary edition of the book was just too good to pass. The cover of this edition has a morph between a book and a matchstick box, and knowing what the book is all about, this is great design. We have arrived to our segment, Book versus Book. Every week, each one of us is going to pick a title, and we will ask you to vote for your favorite in our page.
My book is A Study in Scarlet by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I chose it because it was written in 3 weeks and it introduced the famous inspector Sherlock Holmes. If you like Sherlock Holmes, you will probably like an outfit inspiration in a blog called A Clothes Horse, which is a modern take on a classic fashion with the color palette that we're used to see on Sherlock. The blouse is white, has an embroidery of a magnifying glass on the collar, and it is paired with a plaid skirt. As a compliment, you can purchase a crossbody bag from an Etsy shop called Well Read Company. The crossbody bag is made in the shape of a book, and it has an outline of Sherlock, and I think it will go perfectly with the outfit.
The book I'm choosing this week is Peter the Latvian by George Simenon. Simenon completed the book in just 9 days, not 3 weeks, just 9 days. And this book also introduces an inspector to a series, and in this case is Inspector Maguire. Simenon suffered from severe depression, and he used his writing for therapy, which led to a very prolific career. This series alone is 75 books long.
Both of these books introduce famous inspectors, and you can vote for your favorite in our page.
In just 3 days, Robert Louis Stevenson completed The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He completed this classic while he was suffering from nightmares of a double identity himself. And in case you would like to recreate some of the spookiness of the book, there is a cocktail in HGTV.com that they have titled Mr. Hyde Potion. You can serve it with bigger glasses and dry ice for an even more dramatic effect. And now that Halloween is coming, maybe this is a great option for a party. And now we have arrived to our 6-word book review section. Each week in this section, we're going to choose a book and we're going to try to review it in just 6 words. For this week, we have chosen the book that took the least amount of time to be completed.
It is The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. It took 2.5 days to complete. Can you believe it? And here's my review. Improbable childhood friendship across infamous fence.
If you are inspired, you can submit your own 6-word book review in our page. We're going to take a very short break and we'll be back with guesswork and new books this week.
And now, guesswork. In this section, we want you to guess the title of the book from its first line and a small excerpt. This week's book was written in just 6 weeks, and the author claims that he did not change a word after it was completed. Here's the first line.
Jewel and I came up from the field, following the path in single file.
And here's the excerpt.
So when Cora waked me, it had set in to rain. Even while I was going to the door with the lamp, and it shining on the glass so he could see I'm coming, it kept on knocking.
If you think you know it, you can let us know in our page.
Before we leave, we want to tell you about the books coming out this week that we cannot wait for you to read. The first one is Dear Child by Romy Hausman, and it's a thriller. It involves mistaken identities, kidnappings. If you like Room by Emma Donoghue, this might be a book you want to check out. The second book I want to tell you about is The 99% Invisible City by Roman Mars and Kurt Kohlstedt. The authors are the host of a podcast with a similar name, and this book is about urban planning and things that you sometimes take for granted on a city. For example, have you ever wondered why a window is at a certain height? Or what is the story behind elevators? Maybe this book is for you if you're curious about those things. And another book coming out this week that I cannot wait to read myself is A Wild Winter Swan by Gregory Maguire, and being familiar with his previous work, I highly anticipate it. If you know of any other book that took a very short amount of time to be completed, leave us a comment because we would love to know.
If you would like to purchase any of the books or would like more information on any of the topics covered on our show today, head over to our page, twobookramblers.com.
Until next time, do as Shakespeare said,
and love all,
trust a few,
do wrong to none.